This podcast is recorded on stolen and unceded Aboriginal land.
We acknowledge the First Nations and elders of this country and join their calls for justice. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
I'm Sophie Greer, your local Greens candidate. If you're worried about the cost of living, housing or climate crisis, you're not alone. We can't keep voting for the same two parties and expecting a different result. There is hope. If just 1 in 10 people change their vote, the Greens will win. We'll keep Dutton out and push Labor to act. The Greens are working for cheaper groceries, a rent freeze, to see the GP for free, and to make big corporations pay their fair share of tax. If you want change, you have to vote for it.
Bonus content. Another Meet the Candidate bonus episode of Serious Danger. Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for supporting the show. We're talking to fantastic people who are running for the Greens across the country at the election that's going to happen soon, sometime maybe in 2025. For this episode, we are back in Western Australia. We are talking about the federal seat of Perth. The Greens candidate is one Sophie Greer. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, Tom Emerald. It's so great to be here. Thanks for coming over west for the morning.
So lovely to have you.
No worries. We're not actually there. It's all online, but we appreciate it. We're there in spirit.
I'd like to one day, but flights are very expensive.
Have you been? You've been to Perth. Surely you've been to Perth at some point.
I've
in your
never
life,
been.
Emerald. You've never been.
Surely you've been to Perth. Surely you've been to Perth. What? You haven't been?
Sorry, Sophie. Ignore us.
That's all right.
Please tell us a bit about yourself and who you are. Who is Sophie Greer? Your politics and how you came to be running for the Greens.
Yeah, of course. My name is Sophie Greer. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the federal candidate for Perth. My background is I'm a community organiser. I've got a public health master's and worked in that space, and I'm a local councillor. But I'm here today in my personal capacity, not as that, but my absolute love and passion is community organising and trying to build things to change the world. But how I came to Perth, my mum moved us over here from the northwest of the UK when I was 12, and I've lived in Perth ever since. The weather is so much better here, is the big one from the dreary northwest of England. But since I've been here, my career has really looked at working with a range of individuals and community organisations to build our collective power and skills to try and change the world. And what does it mean to now be doing this at a federal election level? To be honest, we've been doing this work building our community. And to me, it's the time is now to try and do that on a really big level. How can we do that in a way that will take those big systemic challenges we've got? And to me, the opportunity is the federal election. We'll see how this goes. And then from there, we'll get back to our building our community power and trying to make the world a better place locally.
Oh,
go big.
So you're the Greens councillor for, what's the city again?
For the city of Vincent. So it's within our federal Perth boundaries.
Yep.
And got elected as the first party branded candidate in Western Australia. So a lot of other places around the country run party political. But I was the first to get elected, to run as a Green and get elected here in WA. Certainly has ruffled some feathers of the status quo, as always, but I'm really proud of it. I think ultimately, party politics influences local governments. It influences people's views. And to me, it's really important to be transparent about it and also really proud of it. Hell yeah, the Greens are here and we're trying to make the world a better place, whether it's locally, at a state level or federally.
So is it one of those deals where there are other councillors who are kind of aligned with the party? You would say that is the Labor-y person, but they just don't necessarily run branded as a Labor candidate. Is that how it works?
Yeah, lots of different local governments even go as far as having a party disclosure register. So if you're a member, that's publicly available. Not all councils do. But in terms of, when we go out door knocking and handing out leaflets, certainly the only one in the state that put a party badge to that. And I think, to be honest, people really got behind it. Even people if I don't agree with your views, at least you're being open about it and I know whether or not to vote for you, which is kind of cool. So, and really it's all building that momentum of what does it mean to be green here in Western Australia. And I'm really proud of the team effort that got us there.
I also think there's something cool about, politicising local politics in a way and undoing the misperception that local government can only be about whatever, roads, rates and rubbish, the 3 Rs. I think, putting it out in the open that there can be radical changes affected at the local level as well is quite cool.
Yeah. And, our local councils really invest in our community in different ways that other layers of government can't. And really that's transformative of what does it mean to do that in a progressive way that really builds community and helps people with the challenges they're experiencing and builds community at that local level, because that's what it's all about is building that community, finding ways to build joy amongst the chaos and the global destruction, and finding ways to have fun. So anyway, that's
said with a smile. We should say, I guess, since you're a councillor, but on this podcast, you are speaking in your personal capacity.
Personal capacity entirely. Yeah.
Yes.
Entirely.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you.
to know.
I'm also speaking in my personal capacity on this podcast, just so everyone knows.
And I'm also speaking in my personal capacity.
Thank you all so much.
All right, let's talk about that community that you're running to represent there. What kind of suburbs and parts of the city are we talking about in the federal seat of Perth, which also includes the state seat of Perth, I think? Can you just tell us a little bit about the area specifically? Is Mount Lawley in there? I remember that being a very cool suburb.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Yeah, so if you have been to Perth, imagine those city skyscrapers that have got all these mining company logos on them. So we kind of start there and we go across to Kings Park and then we go, which is beautiful, go across the beauty of Kings Park all the way up and around, including Maylands, Mount Lawley, Leederville. It's a really beautiful part of the world. One thing that a lot of people don't know about Perth, everyone thinks that Perth is entirely a mining town, which, we have got these mining logos looming over us wherever we walk around, but we've actually got more people here in Perth that work in healthcare than work in mining. And I think to me that's a really wonderful thing in that our community is really progressive here in Perth, but we are totally up against the big end of town all the time. And that when you can look past those, the big mining corporations, I'm going to say overlords, but the big mining corporations and get down to that community level. Overlords is fine, great. When you get down to that community level and like scratch the surface.
That looks over you from Rio Tinto.
Yeah, literally. When you go door to door, it's like, God, we're great. We are so progressive and like actually all just want the world to be a better place. And that's what I think people think about our campaign to win Perth is like, we're so the underdogs because the top dog is mega mining corporations and they're super wealthy. But actually on the ground, I'm like, there's such an appetite for change. And that's why I'm really excited for this federal election is that we've got a real shot of winning here in Perth. We're still the underdog, but we've got a chance of winning and it's going to be awesome.
Well, we saw a little bit of that. We just had a state election. The Greens candidate was Simone Springer in the state seat of Perth, which sits in there, held by Labor member John Carey. She received a 5.5% swing to her for a primary vote of 21.5%, which is pretty good news. I mean, just generally, how do you view the recent state election results and the good news for Greens increasing, getting a swing to them across the state and increasing the representation? How's that factoring into how you're feeling about the campaign in your seat?
Yeah, everyone here in WA after the state election is so, so excited. We've gone from having one member of the upper house to having four, most likely four members of the upper house. And it's looking like that will mean we've got balance of power in the WA state parliament, which is huge. It is so huge. And we've got representatives from all over WA. We've got Jess Beckling, who's likely to get elected to that fourth spot from the southwest. We've got Tim Clifford, who's a renter. We've got Brad, who's been a member of parliament now before. And Sophie McNeil is a ABC award-winning journalist. Like, what a team that we get to put into that state parliament to like actually hold these people to account. Like Labor have had control of both houses, absolutely, and just tinkered around the edges or given into the mining companies that donate to them. And we've got a WA team now that will really, really hold them to account. And people have put them there to really send a strong message. So in terms of what that means for the federal election, like the swing that we got in state Perth, the positive swing we've got in Mount Lawley, the positive swing we've got in Maylands, all of these areas are within the federal seat of Perth. And we have been door knocking so much that we already knew that people are like, yeah, we're done. Like, why is Royal Perth Hospital, like you go in there at the moment, if you go in with a broken leg, I've heard stories of people not being able to have a wheelchair to wheelchair themselves in through emergency. Like the staff at Royal Perth Hospital are amazing and wonderful, but like the building is literally falling down around people. And like, how can we end up in a place where WA has got, mega got Labor in both houses of Parliament. We've got Labor members here, and Royal Perth Hospital isn't being given huge investments over the last decade. And I'm so excited for stuff where, people are just like, we're done. What is this getting us? And we want to get a Green in there.
And such a wealthy
to
state.
Such a
it's
wealthy
wild that you could be such a
state.
wealthy state and have a hospital that's falling apart.
Such a wealthy state. The hospital's not there. People are paying a fortune to send their kids to school and, voluntary fees and other things. Where we've gotten the worst rental laws in the country. Like, there's just so much on and on and on and on. And people are starting to go, yeah, what are we getting? Actually, we deserve a bit better. And I think that's what's amazing about people in Perth at the moment is people going, actually, we are the wealthiest state. And what are we getting for it? Why are people struggling so much with housing? Why are groceries so expensive? Anyway, I could go on and on and on. But I think there's a real air for change.
Having a look at the results in 2022, so the primary vote for the Greens candidate was sitting at 22.2%. So that's a 3% swing to Carolyn Perks, who ran last time. Sitting MP is Patrick Gorman, who won in a by-election, I think, in 2018. Hung on in 2019 and then actually increased his vote in 2022. But primary vote of 22% is nothing to sneeze at all. What should we know about Patrick Gorman? I read that he's from the Labor left. He's apparently in favour of changing the date of Australia Day. That's something that he said, and then I guess it's not gone anywhere. And he seems to really hate the Greens. Is that basically the summary?
Yeah, he one of his favourite catchphrases that I've heard is the Greens political party everywhere. So look, I think that the challenge that our community are experiencing with Labor at the moment is they're not seeing the party or their representative reflect their values when push comes to shove. It's we actually want as a community a representative who actually is acting in the best interests of our community and not the mining corporations who fund their campaigns. In Western Australia, we've seen so many politicians, Labor politicians particularly, ex-Premier particularly, go straight from these roles directly into the boards of mining corporations. And I think people are done with that idea of what does it mean. I think people feel like our current representatives are in it for themselves or in it not for our community. And I think that's what we're really here to say is it's time to get a real voice for our community in the seat of Perth to represent our community, who I can assure you will not take meetings with mega mining corporations or take any dollars from them, which is the status quo. So anyway, that's what I'm really excited to see changed.
I think you like this, Emerald. Patrick Gorman's sick zing of the Greens is, I argue the Greens used to be a progressive force and now they're just an aggressive force. That's pretty good.
Wow,
don't you think?
Really got us. Really got us. And when exactly would you be praising the Greens as a progressive force? Who exactly was involved in that? What policies were you supportive of? And how do they sit with what the Greens are doing now? Because I think you probably never fucking supported them. You never supported a progressive force.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only time Labor candidate compliments the Greens is when they're setting up an insult of some kind about shitting
in
on
the
them.
past tense.
Yes, in the past tense. Yeah, they used to be great. We all used to love the Greens. Now they're the devil.
Yeah, used to love the Greens. Definitely.
Yeah. Now they're hot on our tails of taking our seats. Not who they used to be, in fact.
He's taking out ads and stuff already. He's trying to give this, hey, I'm not even mad. And the Greens are always saying they're going to win Perth, but I don't even care and I'm not even worried. But it sounds like he's already investing in a fair few ads and going pretty hard, right? He clearly sees the Greens as a pretty massive threat.
Yeah. Well, as they should, the success we've seen over East with winning more and more seats because the community have had enough. But, they're often when people say they're not worried, is a bit of a sign that they're worried. And to be honest, the thousands of doors we've knocked on there's a real appetite for change. Genuinely, what are we doing about grocery prices? What are we doing about healthcare? What are we doing about education? And I think people know that something for them that when there's so much despair and stuff is out of control, the thing that's really powerful this time is where you put a number one on that ballot paper. And that's a way that we're talking to people of, hey, if you're feeling like stuff is not going the way you want, the thing that's powerful And in Western Australia, we've had that moment of power like probably twice in 3 months, is decide where you're going to put your number one vote and create some change and see where it goes. So I think it's going to be a good time.
Because are people that you're speaking to on the doors and wherever you might be, are they worried about a Liberal government though? Do you have that thing to contend with where they go, well, we'll go with Labor because it seems like no one in WA gives a shit about or likes the Liberals at all. So how are you contending with that?
Yeah, totally. Like people are genuinely really worried about what it means to have Dutton as Prime Minister and what it means to have the Liberals win. And like fair enough is what we're saying to people. Totally. No one wants that version of reality. But the most wonderful thing about living in Australia is our preferential voting system.
Not the sunshine, not the beaches. It's the preferential
voting system, So that's what I've come to love. Moved from the northwest of the UK. It rains all the time. That sunshine and wonder. Preferential voting system.
In the UK, it's shit weather and you've got first past the post. It's a fucking nightmare.
Exactly.
That is.
Yeah, no way. Glad I gave up that citizenship, but here we are. But the preferential voting system means that like, hey, let's give it a go. Let's see what we can achieve together if we just put a 1 in that Greens box. If you want to put Labor 2, go for it. Your vote will not end up with Peter Dutton. And the exciting things about Perth is too progressive. Like there is no chance of the Liberals winning here in Perth. 0. So then you have a choice. Do you want to back more of the status quo in voting for Labor 1, or do you want to have a go at actually tackling the housing crisis, the climate crisis, healthcare, make it that better, make our kids' education genuinely free, so much more by just putting a 1 in the Greens box? Let's go.
I'm convinced.
Thanks,
let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's go.
Sophie, I think you're a little bit aggressive right now. Can you just tone it down a little bit?
We're being quite aggressive right now.
I'm so sorry.
True.
Yeah.
Let's try and...
With my pink flowers background and my millennial indoor plants that...
From the dial, the progressive to aggressive dial.
No.
Patrick Gorman's watching closely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he's loving it. Well, I love your positive energy and I fucking love it. And we're wishing you all the very best in your campaign for the seat of Perth. Can you tell us about campaign events you got coming up, what the campaign is looking like, how people can get involved if they're listening to this and they are in your electorate and they want to help out?
Yeah, of course. So we have been building a massive volunteer team. We've been leading this campaign, this version of it, for like well over a year now. So there are so many ways people can get involved. And the thing that I've been talking to a lot of our new volunteers about is like, we know that politics is like a place. You knock on someone's door and you ask how you're feeling about politics at the moment, and the overwhelming response is ugh. And fair enough.
Particularly when you've already just had election, right? I assume that's people.
Yeah, literally. Everyone's like, I'm just still recovering from the last democracy sausage. Can we at least have a couple more weeks for a few more? But what I'm saying to people in Perth here is if you want to get involved, if you're looking out there and feeling that despair, if you're looking to the US and going like, what on earth is happening? What can I do? Our clear thing is come and get involved. Our campaign is desperately trying to break the mold of what it means to do politics. A value that we're going on and on about is joy. And to me, joy doesn't mean like just washing over the hard bits. To me, joy is finding the ways to build community and put that into action despite the hard bits or alongside the hard bits. And we're inviting everyone to come be a part of it. I tell you what, there is a job for everybody. There is a volunteer role for everyone, just about any night of the week, at weekends. We'd love for you to come and help us talk to people and say, hey, there's a real moment we've got right now to go, yep, like world's real tough right now and the feelings are real tough, and we get to put that into action over the next couple of months. And I'm just so proud of our team and I really invite everyone to come along. Some of our campaign highlights so far is we ran with Simone Springer, our candidate for State Perth, the most fabulous comedy night. Like we just laughed all night. Like who in politics ever really gets to sit and just be like, yeah, I'm changing the world by having a beer and having a laugh. And I just think that is tremendous. So yeah, we've got a bunch of events happening locally. Please get in touch and come along. So we'd love to see you there.
I think laughing and comedy is the most important thing you can do, wouldn't you say, Emerald? Like I'd say that people who do that are heroes in a way.
Yeah.
A hero, yeah. That's right.
You two are leading the way
Some
in
people
this.
are saying that.
No, not her. Me.
No, that's
God damn
right.
it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you hear comedy, you think Emerald Moon. That's what many people are
true.
saying.
That is true.
You heard it
She
here
is the funny
first.
one.
Yeah.
SophieGreer.com is the website to go to. That has all the information. You can sign up, volunteer, and help get Sophie elected. Say bye-bye, Patrick. We're aggressively going to kick you out because you're not progressive enough. And thanks for your service. Thank you for joining us on the show, Sophie Greer. And we are campaigning for you and gunning for you. Best of luck. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sophie.
Serious danger to Australia.